Did it say that we're live?
I think we're recording. Yay.
Okay. I didn't really see. Let me just see.
We're live on Facebook.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let me just go to this and take care of this one thing here and here. And hey, what is going on? It is Wednesday, and we are Tags Live, a part of the GetVokl platform on Wednesday nights, which is called the Connection Zone. Very happy. This is that zone, Connection Zone, which is all about relationships, love, sex, and so much more. Of course, we fit into the sexier side of it every week. 9 o'clock here. Say hello to my co-host Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell are you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
I'm doing really good, actually. Very good.
You look so cute.
Oh, thank you. X marks the spot. We are this is our interactive live show. We've got a great show ahead of you, including our friend Jenn, who's going to be talking to us about the difference between lesbianism and gay, and we're going to intersect and how we're similar and go over misconceptions and all that good stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up a little bit later in the show. We've also got Virtual Voices, our show program that we started when we started this show, Tags Live, that we're excited to keep on going. And this week we're talking disclosure. I just love that word.
Exactly. It's a great band. So I was like, that's why I picked it, because of Disclosure, the band. So
there you go. And as always, this is the show. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, check over there to see if you have some commentary. Of course, on our Facebook page as well. We really implore you, if you can, to get on our GetVokl platform, because we can really see the comments in real time. And this is the show where throughout the hour, even when we are in the middle of a topic, we will look over there, and if you have something to ask us, we're going to answer it. It's our interactive show that we're really excited to keep on being interactive. Well, one of the things I was excited about this week and why I'm doing so good is we celebrated our 200th episode of TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex. I started the show 3 years ago, and this past yesterday, came our 200th episode. Can you believe it, Kodi?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You win, darling.
Exactly.
You're a winner, baby.
You're a winner, baby. Boy, 200 episodes. Woo. And and I thank you a lot. And I thank you actually in the episode a lot, because really to get to 200, it was really this year, interestingly, if you will, that we racked up more episodes in a COVID quarantine year. And I say that because why? Well, I started wanting to have an extra show, Sex with Stevie, which is still going on every Thursday night. It's a Facebook Live show. You're on that show. You call in every week. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. Yeah.
But in the middle of the summer, we get asked by GetVokl, the platform we are on right now, to do a third show. So I think it's really amazing to introduce 2 extra shows in the middle of a pandemic. And I think it's worked so much because people are at home. People are obviously tuning into more things like podcasts. I'm so happy because when we started the show, podcasting, TAGSPodcast wasn't like a big deal. It was, but it's only gotten bigger and bigger, and you know how big we like. So size queen over here.
I mean, no shame in your game, and I'm proud of you. I'm a size queen too, but different holes for different holes for different folks. But it just goes to show you, it goes to show you that queer voices matter, and there's so many people that want to hear their voice recognized out there in the community. So congratulations to you, my love. You're doing a great thing.
Oh, thank you. And before we get into our first segment, which is a hot gay sex topics, and we're going to cram them in this week. We are.
You love saying that, don't you? You love saying that.
I do. Truth be known, I love it. On this week, tomorrow night, Sex with Stevie on our Facebook channels. You just go to @TAGSPodcast. We're live from 10 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. And tomorrow night, did you guys all know that this weekend is Folsom Street Fair? It's hard to believe it's coming up this weekend, and I've got somebody calling in who's working on the whole virtual production of Folsom Street Fair calling in tomorrow night. Plus, we've got some more hot gay sex topics. It's a different format, but it's a whole lot of fun. Tune in tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, facebook.com/TAGSPodcast. Well, let's get in, Kodi, to our first hot gay sex topics. And like I said,
I'm ready.
We're going to cram them in today. And these this week, they're a lot of fun. And I couldn't help but we scour for the hot gay sex stories of the moment. And CBS, the network, just removed Corbin Fisher. Corbin Fisher's a gay porn site. Gay porn star Noah Purvis. His real name is Noah Purvis. On the CBS show called Love Island. And just to read you a teeny bit of what went on so you all are up to date, let me put my glasses on. So he only, referring to this guy, lasted 2 days on the show, but Noah Purvis, a.k.a. Corbin Fisher's Ethan, I love how he just only went by Ethan, is now the most famous Love Island contestant of the summer. So straight up gay porn reported on this exclusively last week. But the Corbin Fisher gay porn star, according to them, made his debut on the reality dating show last Thursday night. But over the weekend, CBS and Love Island scrubbed all mentions of Purvis from their sites, and he was nowhere to be seen on the actual show last Sunday night. Many speculated that that CBS removed the hunky gay for pay performer due to his gay porn career, which was active as recent as 2 weeks ago. Okay, well, I just saw some scenes I'm going to talk to you about in a second.
We're going to talk about. I thought we were going to talk offline. But okay,
when he delivered one of the best cum facials of the year, and today the network.
You got to send me those scenes. You got to send them to me.
The network released a statement to ET Entertainment Tonight addressing Noah Ethan's removal. Well, we'll post it on TAGSPodcast, if you will, but essentially that's the storyline there. And I don't know, at first thought, I did some digging because I wanted to see what this guy really looked like. And interestingly enough, I don't watch Love Island on CBS, but it's one of those dating shows on an island.
Yeah.
And it's for heterosexuals, essentially. So my first thought was, why would you know when you've done gay porn before, even if it was gay for pay, that the networks aren't going to do some digging and not find that even if you call it gay for pay, that you would have done this, and they're not going to pull this up because it's a gay heterosexual dating show. And I thought, dummy, like, why did you do that? To me, I just thought, the other thing I noticed was he was the top in the scene, and it was okay. It wasn't great. I think for TV, he really leaned up, tanned up, and spelt it out for the CBS TV show. But in the gay porn, interestingly enough, he was a little bit not as tight as I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
shocking.
Well, you know what? That's what I thought. So I'm sticking with it. We don't have a whole lot of time, Kodi. What are your thoughts?
All right. So that's crazy to me. It's a complete double standard. I feel like everybody on Love Island is one cell phone hack away from being a porn star, number one.
Already.
Right?
But a gay porn star?
I mean, it's a double standard because, like, how much worse is a gay porn star than I don't think either one of them are bad. I think porn stars' voices are valid as well. And I think that they really lost out by dismissing this guy. Well, it just goes to show that, mainstream heterosexuals, especially in TV and film and in the Midwest or wherever they are, the flyover states, they don't really like consider us valid. And I just think that that's crazy to me.
Well, let me push back on that.
One more thing. Bisexuals do exist. So even if he was in gay porn, then
okay, let me stop you right there, because we're not
Go
talking.
ahead.
We are not talking like that other summer program on Netflix. What was the show that our producer Vivian told us about? Dating Is, or the dating show. It was we talked about it. Anyways,
I forgot.
Anyways, there was a situation on the Netflix show which is about dating, where they're in those pods where they can't see each other.
I know it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I hope everybody else does. And somebody type
Love
in, you know, Love is Blind, Queen. Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you. Who's Queen? Thank you.
It's Quinessa, okay. Another one of my really beautiful, wonderful friends.
On Love is Blind, they addressed the issue that you're talking about, Kodi, and it was essentially the same thing, where one of the contestants turned out to be bisexual, and it was a whole storyline. That was one thing, and they got married, and it blew up, of course. We're talking about Love Island, where not this person didn't come out as bi, he didn't come out as anything, but what did come out was his gay porn, where he's effing another boy on camera. So that is not the same thing, because what you're talking about is one's actually identifying as bi, the other one is like actual porn came out with him doing the deed with another boy. I think it's completely different apples and oranges.
Okay, we both.
What do you know? What do you have to say?
I have to say that, like, I think that I don't think that that's. I don't think that's the case. Like, maybe I think part of it is that he didn't disclose it to CBS. So
what was he gonna say? And by the way, as I'm signing my life away on this, they have lawyers upon lawyers on networks like CBS, even if it's called Love Island, and you're signing your life away. And what are you gonna say? Oh, by the way, agent, I did do this sort of porn a few different times, where it's effing another guy.
No, he definitely wouldn't have gotten picked then. But like, he's kind of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Like, he's like shooting himself in the foot.
He should have never done it.
He shouldn't. He should have disclosed it. And then I feel like it's always better to. No, you know what? I feel like it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. So like,
the networks don't care. Listen, no one is mad at, and I don't want this, and I want you guys to all weigh in, and we'll check some of the different platforms. To me, my argument is, believe me, doing porn is not the problem. It's doing porn, then doing gay porn, and then thinking that you could go on a reality show on a network in this climate like CBS, and which is all about heterosexual dating, and think that it's just going to be like, oh, we can slide that under the rug. You know how much porn, like, you do anything these days on a tight site, and Pornhub has access to it immediately, and immediately people that do OnlyFans things all the time naked, it gets somehow on Pornhub.
It's leaked on there.
So why would you think? So to me, it was dumb on his part, not because of doing gay porn. I don't care, but if you're going to do gay porn, then don't go on a reality show and expect that they're not going to find out about it.
Okay, all right. So this is a little bit pushback to you. And if you're going to do porn, like, they've had Ron Jeremy. Ron Jeremy has been on in several porns in his lifetime, and he was on Big Brother, wasn't he?
A friend of mine's on a podcast, and she asked me to tune in, so it's just playing in the background. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna. Should I lock the page?
I think you should. Yeah.
Just for a second, and we want people to join in the conversation. And I can't read anything, so read on the side. If
Jenn says it's a heteronormative patriarchal society, which I totally agree with. And Quinessa basically said, "Well said, Jenn." So yeah.
Okay.
But Ron Jeremy, my point was, Ron Jeremy has been on Big Brother before, and he does porn, and I've seen all of them. I haven't seen this.
Again, not a dating. Again, the premise of Love Island is dating, correct? Am I right? Or wrong? So
I have no idea.
but not dating, not dating a guy that might be bi. It's like, or maybe dating that is done porn. And I'm sorry, I wish it was a little bit more open. And I know I have this sort of conservative, I sound very conservative right now, but the reality is in working with our TV show and getting stuff out there, that TV, the major networks are very conservative, unfortunately. And I don't think we're there yet where you could have done gay porn and we're even ready to hear why you did it and when you did it, but that you could still want to be on the show and really be interested in these girls, albeit reality. I just don't think the networks, I think unfortunately he should have thought of that, because we're not there yet, and that's a problem. And I do admit that's a problem with our society.
Yeah, I just don't agree with that. Like, I think that porn stars' voices are valid, and they're human beings too. Sex workers
we talk about that all the time. So, how valid they are. We talked about that the other day on our show, and it's not about that his voice is invalid. And the reality is, and we have to move on anyway, and we'll get to our other topic tomorrow on Sex with Stevie. But the reality is, Stevie did speak up, and they canceled him off. Didn't even put him on the website anymore, and he's gone. I mean, that's it.
Jenn poses a question. She wonders if it was a female who had done lesbian porn, would they react in the same way?
Jenn, we're going to talk about this when you get on here. I know you're chomping at the bit here.
She's ready. She comes ready.
Jenn, we just locked the door and we'll let you in at 9:30. All right, let's move on. All right, tomorrow we'll get to our other topic that I wanted to get to on Sex with Stevie tomorrow night, 10 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. I cannot wait. There's so much to talk about these days, and I love it. It just keeps fueling it. But Vulnerable Voices was a segment we started when we started Tags Live, and it was really only going to be a 4-part series. And what we realized as we started it is that we really are vulnerable, and there's more to it than a 4-part series. So we're keeping it going. And on this week, we wanted to call it Disclosure. And I think one of the things when I meant disclosure about vulnerability as LGBTQ, let's just start with the initial thing that can be very vulnerable is when we've seen our doctors in the past, when you have to disclose. We all know, whether you're filling out a form for the first time, how many drinks do you drink in 1 week?
Man.
And like that. How do you feel when you see that on that? And do you actually ever put the actual amount, Kodi? Because I
can never remember. I can never remember. No.
How convenient.
No, that was a joke. I try to be, with my primary care doctor, I try to be as honest as possible, because those things that actually, they matter to my health, and he needs to know those things, right? And I also have a really, really good rapport with my primary care doctor. He's a gay man also, so I feel like I can open up to him about so many things. So I think it's really important to have that rapport with your doctor, whether they be gay, whether they be straight, so on and so forth. When I go to a specialist, however,
right, like your eye doctor or your foot doctor or whatever,
right?
They really need to know. They do not.
They don't need to know how many drinks I had. They don't need to know that I was at a rest stop and I got finger banged. They don't need to know all these things. Okay.
But we all need to know that on this show. So
I mean, hey, that was hypothetical. That was a hypothetical. I mean, it has happened before. However, but yeah, so they don't need to know that. So I really kind of just put things that are pertinent to my health, in reference to them, because I feel like leaving it out would be detrimental. But again, like, I'm not putting, I feel vulnerable putting all my business out there, because it's triggering. Because even now, gay men are not allowed to give blood for 3 months.
True.
There's a waiting period. So like, we still get judged on a gradient because we're gay. So
you're talking about our, like, say for example, for COVID, giving our blood plasma. If you've been diagnosed with COVID, and so many people are able to do that to help people that are dying of the virus. And they did overturn it but it's still caught up in red tape. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, that's effed up. Moving on with this topic, one of the things that's come up with just us, you and I, is in terms of this show and with my other co-hosts, is the idea that we have this platform. And again, we just celebrated 200 episodes. So we've been around for a minute. And the idea that we share so much of our sexual life on this show, and and I have since the get-go. And it's really interesting because I don't know if I've ever thought about, I'm sharing way too much, partly because I know how production works. And I tend to know that what's going to produce a better show is the more honest I am and the more real that my co-host and I am is going to ultimately, and truth be told, this is the way it's gone. It produces a better show and connects with more people. And that's why we are here 200 shows later. But I don't know that I've ever thought so much that, maybe I'm sharing so much that maybe somebody I'm interested in might use this against me. But it did come up this past summer when I was having a little bit of fling with the guy that lives in my building.
Okay.
And he utilized what he thought he saw. Like one day he thought he saw on Sex with Stevie, our other live show, a hickey on my neck when I saw him, and didn't call me out on it. And then when I did the show, for that night, I was wearing like a handkerchief because I'm into fashion. And
and you're fabulous, darling.
Well, thank you. But he bridged that what he thought he saw earlier that day, and just by the mere fact that I was wearing a handkerchief, that I had a hickey, and therefore I was seeing somebody outside of our confines and our bubble that we had decided. And so it goes even beyond just like I was seeing, it goes beyond COVID bubble type parameters, and that I was hiding it on Sex with Stevie, our live show. And he never told me that until later when we already had decided we weren't going to be together and we were hanging out. And I said, well, just for curiosity, why did it all end? And he told me that he thought he saw a hickey. And I said, wow, you couldn't be more wrong. And I'm also insulted.
That's quite a jump to make, honestly.
And I said, why didn't you just ask me? And he said because he was afraid of the answer, essentially. And I'm paraphrasing. But to me, that's a huge vulnerability, that you could be accused of something that you didn't do. And somebody's too afraid to ask the question, hey, by the way, it may look like you have a hickey on your neck. Did you, in fact, see somebody outside of our bubble or not? But he was too afraid to get the answer. And to me, that told me everything that, no, that you need to really grow up a little bit over there.
Yeah.
Across the hall. I'm just saying. And like that's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. And see the vulnerabilities that people have that can construe crazy things in our head like that.
It rules you. Me personally, I try not to bring up the fact that I do a podcast, only because like then they can listen to all the freaky.
Hey, you got to promote our shit here.
I do. I tell people about it. But if I'm going on a date with somebody, then they can possibly go into the archives and know everything that I've done. So I do it first, and then once they learn a little bit more about me, and I learn a little bit more about them and the kinks that they're into, and they can't, like you said, use things against me. That's when I let them know. So, I mean, if it got to a third date, maybe.
It's really interesting, and I totally hear you. And I don't think I've ever had a problem with it ever until this. And I was still being honest with all of my life that whole time period. And I just think that, wow, even when you are being real and honest, it can be used against you by simply wearing a handkerchief. But our other co-host, Jeremy Ross Lopez, stated that, he's been a little cautious when he was here in New York about who he dated and who he shared things with about the podcast. And rightly so, I get it. Lincoln, on the other hand, has been in a relationship. So his boyfriend kind of knows everything that's going on with everything. So I don't know. It's an interesting phenomena when you have a show about gay sexuality and you are gay and you are going on talking about these things. I think I have the right personality. Clearly I do 3 years later, but I can see where it could be an issue. But you're handling it really well, I must say.
Well, thank you. I'm doing my best. I'm out here. I am dating. And I'm learning how to navigate this. So I'm really trying really hard because it's not easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there every single day. I try to be as honest as I can on this show. But I do hold things for myself because I think that that's really important. And I think that sometimes you just don't really, some things are for you and the person that you're with, that you're in the situation with. Like last week, I had a situation, I wanted to reveal a situation about a friend of mine. So I made sure that I called him beforehand to make sure it was okay to reveal on the show. So I think that that's really important too, to have that openness and for people to actually, that communication in your relationships too. Because if you reveal something that somebody is not willing to share out in the open, then that could cause a rift in your relationship. So,
and I think to your point, that's why this series works so well, because we're talking about vulnerabilities of our gay sexuality, but it transcends to our LGBTQ, all of us. But it really can be really personal with you and I as hosts of this show, talking about our vulnerabilities and still trying to lead a gay adult male sexual life in this world. And it can, but I'm fine. I get it. And yeah, I think but it's a lot of fun. I like being a little bit, for me personally, living on the edge like that. And I think it's a lot of fun. One thing I'm a little curious though with you is when you are on, say, dates do you share, because political beliefs, and not that political beliefs, but how much do you share about, and I know race is really big for you, being biracial, and how important is that to you, and what people say with some of their answers, how that could sway it one way or the other? How important is that to you?
I think it's super important, especially in this climate. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and it was like, these times are really divisive. So if people aren't aligned with how you feel on politically, it can cause like rift in your relationship. So I really feel like, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the state of the world today. So
state of the world, Janet Jackson.
I see so many Grindr profiles actually that says, if you're a Republican and you vote for Trump, please don't hit me up. So it's not in mine, but I've seen that before. So, I mean, and then I get it. I understand. I wouldn't want to date a Trump supporter either. Honestly, I'm putting that out there on the record.
Yeah, and to your point, I have, I'm going to read a comment. I put my glasses on real quick from our YouTube in just a second here. But to your point, I remember back in the day, it was in the 90s, that I met a guy that I was super into. I met him in 1994 when I didn't live here in New York City, and I came to New York City. It was Gay Pride and it was Gay Olympics, and this guy lived in Texas, and I remember being all enamored with him and carrying on with him. And then when we went to our respective homes, I decided to go visit him, and he lived in Texas. And when I went to visit him in Houston, Texas, I remember looking on his bookshelf and getting to know him and seeing like the biography of Reagan, the President Reagan, and thinking, why do you have a book on President Reagan? And he didn't really support the AIDS epidemic. And it was closer to that period in 1994 at that period. And we had such a rift, and I got on my high horse then. I think I would probably listen a little bit more these days, but then I called it quits early. I think I left early. I mean, it really did not go well, but yeah, that's getting real political. And real quick here, just to Paul Gregory says, hey, great podcast. And by the way, and Paul Gregory, Lincoln always kills it. Yes, he does. I was just on the phone with Lincoln earlier today. We were sharing. He and I are going to do an upcoming episode. Jeremy and I are going to do one together, and then Lincoln and I, and we were getting creative on how we'll do it, maybe outdoors somewhere. And my friends, you never listen when he's not on. Okay, good. I'm glad. Listen for Lincoln. He will be back on soon. I'm glad. It is 9:30 and we've got to welcome our special guest. Let me unlock this thing for her. We spent so much time.
Grab a spot, girl.
Grab a spot, Jenn.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you so much for the welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Stevie. This is great for the community, honestly.
Thank you so much, Jenn. And we want to welcome you. And, I think my first question for you, Jenn, is, and you've been such a supporter of this show, our Tags Live show, and I know that you're friends with Kodi. Can you just share us a little bit on either how you met and how you became good friends before we get into the meat of what we're talking about?
Sure. I've known Kodi for 21 years.
Oh my God! Really?
And you guys are so barely 21.
I was going to say, are you 14? Because you were like, I'm not in Texas. I'm just saying. But I met Kodi. We worked together at a restaurant in Cherry Hill. We had been told so much about each other prior to us meeting each other. So it was like once I met him, it was like, hey, I know you. He was like, yeah, I know you too. And it's been like love at first sight, I guess, ever since.
Brother, sister, ever since.
Yeah,
I love it.
So he bailed me out of jail.
Oh my God, Jennifer.
I knew that he was a keeper after that, trust me.
Are you serious?
Yes, the very first time we hung out. So, okay, I have that.
Okay, go ahead.
In New Jersey, if you get a ticket for whatever, parking, speeding, whatever have you, they issue an arrest warrant for you. So she got pulled over. I don't know what she was doing.
For his house.
She was coming to pick me up so we could. You ran a red light? So
I ran a red light. Yeah.
And they pulled her over, and there was an arrest warrant for parking tickets, and they took her to jail, and I had to come bail her out.
Yeah.
Okay, that solidified the relationship. Jenn, you are forever. I'm sure you bailed him out on some other reasons, and I want those stories later because I know Kodi Maurice Doggette.
Just knocked the dicks out of my mouth. That's all. She's like, it's time to go. Get them dicks out of your mouth. That's all.
So, Jenn, one of the things that I don't know why I am, and I need to get over it, is that so many of us gay men, I love your guys' relationship, and so many of us gay men are really quick to have friends with obviously other gay men, obviously other straight women. We tend to have a lot of relationships with. You don't see a lot, and I'm changing that in my world now, and Jenn, you and I feel like are friends now. But what do you think it is, or and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's just me, that I don't feel you always see a lot of gay men and lesbians being like friends. Is that a reality or is that on my head?
No, I would say it is a reality. More so now that I've crossed the Mason-Dixon line, I live down here in Florida. It's something I haven't seen since I've lived down here. It's very cliquey. Kodi and I both went to a bar when he came to visit me down here, and I got like harassed by the gay men for being there. You don't belong here. What are you doing here? This is our scene. This is our that. So I feel like because Kodi and I didn't meet in that traditional atmosphere of the gay club or the gay scene, and we were able to connect on a different level. We both were very young too. So it was like, wow, to meet somebody else who's out, it was like wanting to cling to each other. I feel like times are changing because everybody is so open with their sexuality that you just gravitate to your groups that are specific to you. So,
yeah,
I just feel like sometimes I feel like we're an anomaly, but it should be something that more people are doing.
Yeah, I love the idea of bridging our LGBTQ because we share this acronym more and more like we can, and I think it's so important. Kodi, let's get into some topics with Jenn here on, say, like what we were talking about in our text messaging back and forth. And what would be one of the first things you want to bring up as for us to talk about?
Let's talk about the commonalities and the difference between like gay and lesbian relationships. What do you see as the things that we have in common, and what do you see as the things that are completely different for us as gay people?
So one of the main things I would say that I see as a major commonality between gay and lesbian relationships is that we're all looking for love. We just want to find that perfect member or that perfect person who's going to just get us.
That's beautiful.
I feel like lesbians are a little bit faster to try to find that. Stereotypes saying things,
Or Kodi, maybe. Or Kodi.
I was going to say, I joined your team on that one, so.
You might want to induct this one over here if you can.
Do I get a toast?
As your honoree.
So I would say that I would say is definitely a commonality between us as a community. The one thing I will say that I do see as a major difference between lesbian couples and gay male couples is the sex drive once the relationship has been solidified. A lot of lesbians, once you've been together for an extremely longer period of time, they have this thing called lesbian bed death. And it's really that, there's like a lot, I want to say intentionally there's a lack of interest, but sex kind of goes to the wayside, and it's more about, let's build our home, let's nest, let's get to know each other. And I've always seen with male relationships, like it's always about that visceral, like let's get it in response, whereas lesbians are more emotional and,
Well, Jenn, let me ask you on this because I feel gay male relationships are not that different in that after a period of time, they get either tired of the sex and they either choose to open it up together sexually or open it up and have open relationships where one guy might be seeing somebody on the side and somebody is, and it's okay within theirs. Is that what you're talking about? And if not, and if so, do lesbians also have that thing too, where they would consider open relationships, or that's off the table in general? And we don't make you to be, and I don't want you to be the only lesbian for all lesbians in the world here, but
not me for the whole community.
The PR director of Lesbians, ladies and gentlemen,
Ambassador Jennifer.
Okay.
But since you're here,
I would say that sex remains more on the forefront for male relationships, and you guys are more creative with how you remain connected to each other, where you, like I said, might have open relationships, might have a third that comes in. I feel like lesbians, if and when that is a part of the conversation, we become more polyamorous. So it's like we want to join the family versus I want to do my thing on this side.
So it always comes back like to the relationship. Like, okay, if we're going to open it up, then you're part of our threesome kind of throuple.
Exactly.
Like a Derek Barry vibe. That's cool.
Yeah.
So throw out Drag Race here. Not every. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the only frame of reference I have, and you both know that. Okay?
Clearly. That's interesting, because would you argue that? I mean, obviously, one of my things I wrote here, and I was jotting some notes down before we got on this conversation, was I just wrote the word libido, because obviously gay men, we've got that whole testosterone thing going on. Do lesbians have that same libido? Like, do you, in general, and speak for yourself, speak for your girlfriends, but can you just talk a little bit about that?
So Lisa says that you're the lesbian ambassador, so she co-signs on it. Okay, she does.
But
our queen.
Yes.
Oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
Okay, I was talking to you about libido, sex drive, and
Okay. Well, yeah, with having testosterone, that definitely, like y'all say, that head has its own a mind of its own. You know, you wake up every morning. If you dreamed about baseball, it's a bat.
Kodi.
Hey, it is. She's not wrong.
You know, women, our libido can go up and down. You know, we go through, due to our reproductive cycle, ovulation monthly, things of that nature. So you can have times where you're just not interested in sex, and especially if you and your partner don't sync up, where you're both kind of on that same ovulation cycle. It can be 2 weeks out of the month that y'all not doing nothing.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
Personal question here. Are you single or partnered up?
Oh, no, I am married.
Oh!
I'm happy.
Well,
Queen is my...
Oh, I see.
Show us your ring, girl. Let me see your ring.
Ring.
Yes.
How long have you guys been together, you and Queen?
So we've been together for about 6 years. That'll be October 5th. And actually, that's our wedding anniversary as well.
Upcoming.
So we have actually 2 wedding anniversaries. It's kind of funny. We got married in Isla Mujeres in Mexico in 2017.
You are speaking. Okay, already, Jenn, you and I have a commonality here because I love Isla Mujeres and I love Mexico. So, see, Kodi, I found some similarities.
We're not so different after all. Oh, look at that.
We were actually officially married in the United States October 5th, 4th or 5th, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, of last year. So we're actually coming up on a 1-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations. I can't wait I wish I was at the wedding.
At the wedding.
Can you tell us what it's been like during COVID being in a long-term relationship?
Whew. You know, you really got to love that one you're with. Yeah. I will be honest. We come because I became unemployed during COVID. My partner worked, her office closed. She had to work from home. So really confined to this space with some stressful stressors at the time. And I will say that it's important to have somebody who gets you emotionally, understands you, who is empathetic and sympathetic to your situation. Because if you got somebody who's not there for you, being in this confined space, we would be at each other's necks. But I will say I feel very fortunate. We have had some wonderful, great times, some great laughs. You know, we tried to keep it funky and spicy while we was up in here. So
let me follow up on that question, Jenn. Does sex, with the way Kodi just brought that up, become on the back burner kind of thing, or does it become something that can actually, like you just said, spice it up when you can make it happen?
Interestingly enough, I can speak about lesbian death because to be honest, my relationship had experienced it prior to COVID because I was working at a new job. I was a supervisor. I was highly stressed. I was never home, and it was a lot of time we were apart. So it was like, and then when we were together, we were like at each other's necks. So it was like, this is not good. But once COVID hit, it was like, my wife kept saying, I like you so much better now.
Oh. All it took was a pandemic.
It's like, you're not stressed anymore. And then I started to really delve inside myself and be like, you know what? I do see that there has been a decline in our sex life. So I've went out and started to look for some new toys and, those experiences and those times. And, it has definitely improved our relationship for the better. So I will say I can only speak for myself. I'm sure other people have been through some horrible things during COVID, just COVID alone. But it allowed for us to become recentered in our relationship, I will say.
Very nice. So would you... Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Well, Jenn,
would you say... Okay, I'm going to talk. So would you say that the quarantine has actually allowed you to have some introspection into not only your relationship, but also yourself?
My question was better, but...
but you can still ask it.
I would yes, it's definitely giving me a time to become to recenter myself. I had felt like I was just so focused on getting that almighty daughter and doing what I needed to do to solidify myself with my job that I forgot what was important at home or what was important with my friendship. I mean, Kodi can attest to this. We didn't even speak for like 6 months at one point.
Yeah.
Because every time he called me, I'm like, I'm busy. I'm doing. So I lost myself. I was a slave to the money, for lack of a better term, you know. But this has really had me recenter and really reprioritize what's important to my life, which are friends and family experiences.
And sex toys, because you mentioned that just a second ago, and spicing it up. And let me get to the question that I wanted to ask, which...
Go ahead, baby. Ask it.
With, you know, because I'm just curious, and I think a lot of us are, you know, in a lot of our relations, Kodi and I talk about this all the time, about when you meet somebody, and in general, two men that meet, there's one that might be a little bit more dominant and sub, and those are just actual terms, or you could actually phrase them as top and bottom. But sometimes we're versatile, so we take on both. Oftentimes, though, in my experience, it's verse, but it's like one might be a little bit more dominant in our traditional roles that we've come to know in heterosexual society. Do those exist? And I kind of know some of the answer, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, there's so much. I feel like there's so much more. I mean, I guess because I'm on this side. So, you know, we've got femme, stem, butch, stud, touch me nots, lipstick lesbians, princesses. You got the whole gamut of it. So, you know, we have those definite stereotypical roles that are played out in relationships, I should say, for lesbians.
And would you and Queen, as she's going by, fall into what categories that you listed, if you even want to label it, or maybe you move on different categories?
So it's interesting, and I'm definitely divulging some information here.
You know who's going to come with the hard questions, man. You know who's coming with the hard questions.
Be vulnerable, darling.
This ain't no Tamron Hall here. Kodi.
I would say my wife was not gay before I got with her. She was actually heterosexual and married to a male, and I'm her first female relationship. And when we first got together, she was a pillow princess. She didn't do anything. It was like, okay. And for me, for most of my roles, because I consider myself more of a touch me not lesbian.
What kind of lesbian?
Touch me not. So I get more pleasure from pleasing versus me receiving pleasure.
Wow, Kodi, that sounds like you from what you've told me. From what you've told me.
That is definitely not me, and that is definitely not what I told you. Maybe you weren't listening.
You know, I'm always half listening. Okay. Anyway, Jenn has the floor.
That's funny.
I would say our relationship has evolved over the 6 years that we've been together. She's still, a feminine lesbian. It's funny because when we first got together, like I was calling her a baby dyke, and then she was like a sophomore dyke, and now she's up to junior dyke. So
she hasn't graduated
the quick
yet.
Course.
10 years school now.
You said 10 years.
Now.
10 years is my
Jen, I want to find find the straight boy here in town that I can run through that course and get them up to speed. That they can divorce their spouse, and that could be something we could work on. I would think that would be amazing.
I'm gonna start calling you both Professor Steve, Professor Jen,
and we will not deny it. Absolutely.
How many categories of lesbians out there that I say they have what's called straight syndrome because all they want to date is heterosexual women.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I think it's because, first of all, like I said in my note earlier, we live in a very heteronormative patriarchal society. And of course, we have a lot of, women who subscribe to, or who are lesbian, we start to subscribe to more of a heteronormative look in our relationships. And what makes it sometimes easier to find those people who are willing to subscribe to that would be heterosexual women. So I just find that for a lot of butch lesbians or touch me nots, it works perfectly.
I love it. Jenn, just out of curiosity, do you watch RuPaul's Drag Race? Are you up to speed on the current the Vegas review that's going on? You are?
Yes, I cannot stand Derek
all
Barry.
right. So I love it. So we only have a little bit more time, and we were going to go through our second hot topic with you, Jenn. If you can weigh in, we didn't get to it when we opened the show. If you're willing to, I'd love for you to weigh in. So on the current RuPaul's Drag Race right now, there are two contestants, and I'm sad because tomorrow is the final episode of it, but I love it because Kodi and I are already talking about we want to go to Vegas when they start up the show again in January. And Jenn, yeah, you're with us. We're gonna get the caravan going and let's do it. But I wanted to hear our thoughts if you're up to speed. And for those of you who get up to speed, it's a lot of fun. Vanjie and Cameron Michaels on the last episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Vegas edition got into a lip lock, and I just have to say I was all for it. I love both of them as not contestants. That's why I like the show. They're not contestants. How do you guys think that this is going to play out? Jenn, what's your first thoughts?
I think it'll play out perfectly for them. I was surprised that during their season that actually Brooklyn Heights fought up with Vanjie versus
sacrilege, darling. They weren't on the same season.
You really know about it.
No, Cameron was on with Eureka O'Hara and all those. When
season 10, so was Vanjie.
No,
Vanjie got voted off the
No, but she was talking about.
You're right.
How do I get rid of Kodi's block over here and make you my new co-host?
Right.
Thank you. I knew I was going to be a co-host.
You are right.
Well, she finishes her statement.
I'm so sorry.
So for him to have picked Brooklyn Heights was too full of himself, and I just saw that them clicking more so. So it was unfortunate that they that this time has gone before they were actually able to get together. But I think it's a much better match for Vanjie and Cameron because they both are looking for the same thing, some love. They're looking for love.
Yeah.
So,
and you said that originally, and I think that's the whole thing. And actually, you know what? Those are two good characters that are speaking to exactly what you were talking about, which Kodi speaks to. He's just looking for love as well. I think we all are. Kodi, I'm just curious what your thoughts are, because in looking at the previews, I'm a sucker for that because out of all the characters, I like them the best, I think, that they're featuring. And I would love it if it worked out for them, particularly because Cameron Michaels just had like a guy he was dating come and then tell him when he came to Vegas that it's over, which I was like, are you kidding me? Thank you.
He just wanted to be on TV, clearly.
I couldn't. But it does. I was so happy that they kind of found their thing because they're both adorable. They both seem to be looking for the same thing. Could it be too close for comfort? And it does maybe insinuate in the next episode tomorrow night. Won't. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
All right. So like you, I think it's adorable. And I think that it's genuine, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder and it makes me curious about where the show begins and where the reality, where the show begins and where the reality begins, because it's reality television, basically. So where does the reality begin and where does the relationship begin? Because they have to do things for television.
Yeah.
So,
but this does seem real, doesn't it?
It seems real, but how much is put on for television? And it just makes me wonder.
But you didn't answer my question. Do you think that they will? Girl, I get it. It's
what is the
TV.
question, Tom?
I mean, do you think that they will continue?
I think they're going to continue,
and they're still dating today, or that it was sort of like a fling.
I hope that they are, because honestly, I think that they're both in the same arena. So I think that their schedule, like Cameron was having a huge problem with the other guy as far as like their lining up the schedule. So they're in the same show, so they don't have that problem, and they understand each other's schedule when they actually do have to tour. So I do think that I hope that they'll be successful, because like you said, I love love, and we all love love.
I agree with both of you about the love thing. I think that they should work, on paper, and I do believe what they're showing on the TV show. I don't think it's going to work based on a preview that I saw for some reason, and also because I also know that there was a little bit of foreshadowing when Cameron Michaels talked about when you work with somebody, it can be a good thing because you guys share the same mentality. Like I was
in one episode.
No, hold on.
Okay, all right.
That like I was dating somebody in my apartment complex, and on theory, yes, he had sort of a problem with it. Like, is this a bad thing? And I'm like, no, we're both adults, like Cameron says. And to me, it was convenient in this COVID area because he's just down the hall. And I said, as I've lived up to with this person, that it didn't work out. I'm glad we did it because it was convenient, but I'm adult enough to see him and be like, hey, what's up? I don't want to like, put a knife with underneath his doormat here. So I can handle
Boil
it.
his rabbit.
I think that their world is with being a drag queen is a little too nitty gritty close. Working backstage, I don't think it's going to be something. I think it's going to be cute to play out. I wish it would, but I don't think it will. But that's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see both sides. So
okay. I know I'm being Mr. Cynic here. Jenn, I want to thank you so much. You have got to come back. I might even replace you with Kodi Maurice Doggette.
Oh my goodness!
I'm joking. I love you, boo. I'm totally
fine.
But
I love
we
you
have.
Too. You know what? If you're gonna. Go ahead.
If you are willing, we'd love to have you back because really, I think you can weigh into hot gay sex topics. And I love the conversation, and we didn't get enough time with you, so I'd love to have you back. And let's go to Vegas.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes, I'm down. I'm here for it. So
thank you. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Yeah. Kodi Maurice
Amazing.
Doggette.
Thank you, my love.
I love it. Well, if you're watching tonight, tune in tomorrow night. We've got Sex with Stevie at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/TAGSPodcast. I'm interviewing somebody from this weekend's virtual Folsom Street Fair. What? Yep. And Kodi and I have so many gay hot topics to go over. Do you like my highlighter?
I love it. It's beautiful. Do I have to wear my jockstrap tomorrow for tomorrow?
You absolutely have to. And some. All right. I want to thank you. Be safe. Wear your mask. Keep it sexy. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Yes.